welcome back to my channel. This is episode 16, The Comeback Kid. As Amy's client list has dwindled to next to nothing since her accident, Lou convinces her to hold a comeback clinic to reboot her career. And of course, as we know, it will work because Amy is the miracle girl. I mean, it makes sense that her career would have taken a hit because of her accident, because obviously she had a bit of time that she couldn't work with them, and then of course had the PTSD. And so then she wouldn't have been able to work with them because of that. So yeah, it makes sense that she may have had a little bit of a setback, but she'll be alright, you know? So yeah, this will be a good comeback for her. I gotta say, this season has just been rife with everything, you know? I mean, we had Georgie wanting to become a trick rider, Amy's accident, Jack and Lisa finally getting back together, and, you know, Lou and Peter, of course, going off on the book tour. I mean, my question is, did I miss something with Lou in regards to her financial business? Because she was going to open her own, and as we saw, I was working with Dan Hartfield's portfolio and saw the stuff about Lisa. And so she was a little concerned about that. But it hasn't been brought up since. It's mainly been about her blog, which obviously she's making a career of with the blog. But I'm just like, what happened? Was there any mention? Because they may have mentioned it and I may have missed it. It's entirely possible. I'm sure if I go back and rewatch these seasons again, which I probably will at some point, I might catch it. You know, that's the good thing about rewatches, is that you catch things. Because first time through, you're just trying to absorb it. So obviously, you're going to miss something. So that's why rewatches are good. I mean, there are some movies or TV shows that, you know, I've seen 100 times, and sometimes I still catch something that I haven't seen in those previous 100 times, you know, even if it's just something really subtle, because I know so much of what's going on, maybe I'm like looking in the background or something, and like, oh look, I didn't see that before. I'm sure that happens with a lot of people. If any of you do that, and you have caught stuff, let me know down in the comments. It doesn't have to be Heartland, it can be. It could be, you know, pretty much any other thing that you've watched multiple times and have caught. An example of that is Christmas Vacation. The scene when Eddie and Clark are in Walmart and they're buying the dog food, and it's a perfect sight gag. I actually had to show this to my SO because he had not caught it until I showed it to him. They have some of the food. Clark grabs some light bulbs, sets them down, and then Eddie slams down a couple bags of dog food, and you hear the sound of the smashing of the light bulbs. It is a perfect sight gag. It's one of those that you probably would not catch the first time through. And, you know, so it was one of those where as I was watching it, just, you know, for the 20th time or whatnot, I saw it, and it just made me laugh, because of course it's subtle. You do hear the noise, but you probably aren't going to see it unless you're really good at catching everything. But yeah, you're probably not going to see it, at least at first. And like I said, I had to show it to my SO, and he was like, I never noticed that. It was like, I know, right? It's one of those that I think can easily be missed upon first watch, which is why it's good to have rewatches. So I may go ahead at some point and rewatch all of Heartland, and maybe I'll catch the reason. But if there hasn't really been a reason, but maybe they explained it like in interviews and such, let me know down in the comments, because obviously I'm watching this many years after the show first aired, so it's quite possible that something was said in interviews or whatnot, and I of course missed it. So if you're ready, let's get started.
It's gonna be fine. We'll figure this out.
To see if you can retake that term. Like the Thai feels obligated to help, which is why he's putting in the extra hours, you know, so that he can make that down payment. You know, I do I do like that. It's whether people like it or not, it's instinct. The whole kind of hunter-gatherer provider thing. You know, ultimately the man feels he needs to provide for the woman. That's instinct. That goes back thousands of years to caveman days, you know. That's something that will never, ever go away. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's also nothing wrong with a woman feeling like she needs to provide and work and be the breadwinner. Nothing wrong with that if that's what she chooses. But instinct, nature, made it that the man was to be the provider. So it's understandable, like with Ty, that he feels the way he does, that he needs to work extra hours to earn the extra money so that he can put it for a down payment. That does make sense, you know? So I can understand his point of view. It's also the same like with Peter and Lou. I mean, you know, yeah, Lou has her blog. She got her blog published as a book, did the book tour, I'm sure made some decent money on it. But of course, Peter still feels that he needs to provide for his family. Now that he's got 2 daughters, he feels he needs to provide for that. So, you know, it's what happens. I mean, like with us, my husband is basically the one that does most of the providing. I make YouTube videos. Unfortunately, at this time, I'm not monetized, but I make YouTube videos with the hope that someday that I will be and can start pulling my weight. At the time of this recording, I am working at Spirit Halloween. So I am pulling in a bit of a paycheck, at least for a couple of months with that. So, you know, that part helps. Granted, it's not a lot, especially because I'm only part-time, but it does help a bit. But, you know, my husband has been at his job for over 10 years. He makes decent money. So, you know, he is luckily able to provide. And he knows that I can if I have to. But to be honest, and this is just me, I kind of like the situation now. I like that I can be home, which is what I prefer. I prefer to work from home, make YouTube videos, maybe have, you know, a job like, say, the Spirit job that is temporary, only lasts a few months. You know, I myself, I worked for 20 years. I don't know, I'm going off on a tangent here. I worked for 20 years as an employee and I just got sick of it. And so I myself wanted to change. And so that's why I started this. Yes, I can go back to that if I have to, and I know pretty much what to expect, but I'm hoping that I'm at a point now in my life where I don't have to. But I know that he is providing, and I think in a way he kind of likes that, because again, it goes back to kind of that caveman instinct, and there's nothing wrong with that. I know people will say that, oh, he's acting like a caveman and that's bad, but not in that sense. So anyways, I rambled way too long. Again, I apologize for the noises because of the trucks. I'm hoping that they will stop eventually. I could get up, I guess, and shut the window, but I don't think it'll make that much of a difference. I think you'll still be able to hear it. Plus, my cat is currently sitting in the window and, you know, I don't want to disturb her. So, anyways, let's keep going.
Yeah, okay.
Is she not a writer anymore?
Well, I'm only here for the grand tour. Wow, isn't it the best?
Messy.
You have certainly made it your own.
Well, I meant to clean it before you got here, but then you came home early. Promise.
Yeah, thanks for letting me know, Steph.
Lou is right
Okay.
on that.
Yeah, bye. Come in.
I am relaxed.
You know Lou, she doesn't relax.
I just want to help. Let me do this.
You know, I get where Lou is coming from. You know, she's not the type who relaxes, and she feels like she wants to help. You know, you could tell she was kind of disappointed that she wasn't like needed at the Dude Ranch or the restaurant. You know, everything was fine. So I think that's going to be the thing that comes out, is that she kind of feels that she isn't needed. Because, you know, she didn't seem happy that Jack said that things kind of ran smoothly, or that she wasn't there to help Georgie decorate her room. But it's like, you don't have to be involved in everything, Lou. That doesn't mean that you're not loved or needed or appreciated. It just means other people can handle things, you know. So I was kind of like, let her just do that if it makes her feel better. And, you know, she did mention that about the creative juices, and I'm thinking, yeah, you know, her planning this clinic could be a good blog article, possibly. So, you know, I could see that maybe helping her too, again, for the next blog article. She could talk about how she went ahead and organized this clinic for Amy. I don't know if she's mentioned anything about the accident. If not, she could maybe mention that, and then mention about the clinic. Obviously, I don't know because I don't read her blog. But I do think it's cool that you can make money as a blogger. I had thought about being a blogger years ago, but, you know, I do have a Tumblr, but I don't write on it much, and it's usually fandom related. Not always, but usually fandom related. You know, and I don't expect, of course, to make any money or anything on it, but it is cool when people can do that and make careers out of it.
What are you looking at?
That Charger. Turns out he's the real deal. I've been asking around about him. There's a lot of people with their eye on him.
What, you thinking about buying them?
Well, it depends. What if you and I were to go in on it together?
Are you kidding, right?
No, for real. You split the costs and the winnings 50-50?
That sounds pretty risky now.
Yeah,
No risk, big money.
50,000
Are you sure you don't want a piece of the action?
Ty, don't
How
make a
much?
mistake.
$5,000.
But Amy does. She works with people. You know, it says, I've seen for the tagline for Heartland, it says, healing horses, healing hearts. And in a way, Amy's kind of a psychologist. Yeah, she works with the horses, but it's also working with the people. Jackson Galaxy is kind of that way too. He's kind of like the cat whisperer, you know. You know, he had like that show, My Cat from Hell, and, you know, he would go and kind of work with the cat, but ultimately it was also working with the humans, getting the humans to kind of alter things to make the cat comfortable. And I would be amazed at how many places he would go that weren't like cat friendly, that didn't have like scratching posts or cat trees. Unfortunately, we don't really have a cat tree in here, but there is a scratching post that's like just off screen, and then of course there's this purr pad behind me. And it's like any house that has a cat, or any house that knows cats, has accommodations for the cats, has scratchers and stuff like that for them. You know, and cat trees and whatever, you know. And so once people started doing stuff like that, then they had a better relationship with the cat. And so it's kind of the same with this. It's like Amy kind of has to work with the people, and in a way be a psychologist, because she kind of has to learn what's going on in the person's mind in order to help the horse. You know, like she had to find out from Martha what happened, that it wasn't the horse's fault, and work with that in order to get Martha back on it. And then of course she relayed her own experience about getting hit in the head. And I hate how she said she blamed the horse. She knew it wasn't his fault, but yet she did still blame him, at least for a bit. But luckily she was able to work with Zeus and get Zeus at least, you know, to a good point. So, you know, it's like she needs to know that in order to be able to work with the people so that they can work with the horses. Lou, so you got a bad review. It doesn't really surprise me that Lou says I was so awful to Peter that he ran back to work. And I was like, yeah, I mean, Peter knew when he married you that you were high maintenance and high strung and everything. But, you know, he went to be with her, and then of course Lou was Lou. And, yeah, kind of drove him away that he had to go back to work, you know. She says my books didn't sell, it was a flop, and I'm like, well, you are, of course, you're always going to come back, I think, with some books. I don't think that that an author sells everyone. And some book tours, unfortunately, you don't so much. My brother wrote a book, and he goes to some local cons, and sometimes he does really well, sometimes he's really successful, and other times not so much. You know, there have been a couple times where he's maybe only sold 1 or 2. There's been other times where he's sold 10, 20, you know, it just all depends. But that's what's going to happen, you know, you go on these book tours, and sometimes you also have to kind of play the market. You know, these people made her, I mean, the bottom line is they made her blog a book. Alright? So she still would have gotten paid for that. And if there's any like royalties or anything, that'll come. You know, and they did the book tour, and okay, maybe the book tour wasn't that big of a hit, but you know, that doesn't mean that the book might not be a hit in the future. Maybe this just wasn't the right time, but maybe a year or 2 years from now, maybe it will be. Maybe people will find this book and say, hey, this is a great book. Why didn't we know about it? I mean, how did the advertising go for her? She's here talking about marketing and advertising, and I'm thinking, well, did they really market or advertise you? Because if they didn't, then that's their failure, not yours.
Sometimes, when people are upset, they try and control things.
Yeah, like you.
And by people, you mean me, right? Sorry, the clinic and your book tour kind of sucked.
Oh, Lou, it proves that people want to hear what you have to say.
Sell them on your blog.
Maybe. I guess I don't have anything to lose. Well, I should go out and...
Is there like a local library? See if maybe you could...
Let's buy Charger.
Oh,
You won't regret this. Better not.
This
Ty.
is crazy. Can't move around if you charity contender. You're still getting paid.
That's a...
Ty. Uh-oh. So the next episode says, things get stickier when Amy starts working closely with Prince Ahmed. So I have a feeling that the prince, you know, I've suspected for a little bit that he might be starting to like develop feelings for her. So I have a feeling that, yeah, that's going to kind of come out in this one. But, you know, obviously they'll be okay. I mean, I know they get married, so I can really handle just about anything that comes their way. And as I've said, excuse me, multiple times, they have to have conflict in these shows. You know, they have to do things that are going to create conflict, because otherwise they feel that it wouldn't sell. I don't know. I kind of like happy. Does it get boring? It can. But it's also kind of nice, you know? I mean, if you had a show where you had a couple who were happily married the entire run of the show with really no issues, is that necessarily a bad thing? No. Is it kind of boring? Yeah. Is it going to make people watch? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, with how strange the world is people might enjoy just seeing like a boring, happily married couple. You know, they might enjoy that. And it doesn't mean that they wouldn't still have problems, you know. You could have a happily married couple and there's still maybe job changes, family issues. Maybe there would be someone who tries to come between them, but of course neither of them are at all interested because they're happily married and in love with each other and everything. So, you know, I'm just thinking like, you could still make a fairly good show and not have all the conflicts. And again, maybe it would do well. I mean, when you look at the Hallmark Channel, it's basically feel-good TV. Yeah, there's still a few conflicts and everything, but it isn't nearly anything that you would see on other shows and stuff. And it's because it's more family-friendly and more family-oriented. One of the shows that I've watched, and I actually did the reaction to the final season of Good Witch, so go check that out. They still, you know, were able to kind of create a story even with couples, you know. The last season was a little more interesting, but, you know, you had like the main character, Cassie, and she did have a husband who was played actually by Chris Potter in the movies. And then when it became a series, you know, Chris was here on Heartland, so he couldn't come back. So when the series started, she was a widow. So they had made it that his character died. I don't know if we ever found out exactly how he died. It was in an accident, so I don't know if it was like a work accident because he was a cop, or if it was just something. But anyways, you know, so they had made it that he had died, and then of course she ended up falling in love with the doctor who moved into town, Sam, and eventually married him. And she and Sam, of course, were very happy by the time the show ended, and I'm fingers crossed that we'll still get more Good Witch. There have been rumors that something might be coming back, even if it's just like another film or something, so fingers crossed. But, you know, so you did see a happy couple. And again, you know, that doesn't mean that there still can't be issues or problems. So with this, especially since I know the outcome of Amy and Ty, I can basically handle anything that's thrown their way. Now, I'm not going to like this next one because it says working closely with Prince Ahmed. So that kind of makes me a little nervous, but it should be okay. At least I think it will be. But, and then, you know, with Lou talking about the book tour and everything, and, you know, she mentioned about selling them herself, and I'm thinking, yeah, you know, just have them available on your blog for sale. And, you know, you own Maggie's, sell some at Maggie's, or have them available there at Maggie's. Maybe donate one or two to the local library, see about hosting like a book signing there, or even just do like an author clinic, you know, see about teaching a class at the local community college or something, and, you know, about being an author or a blog author or something like that. I mean, the bottom line for Lou is that she still had a book published. Even if it wasn't that big of a success, she still had a book published. She's still a published author. You know, some people never get there. Some people only do ever get one book published, and maybe it's a hit, maybe it's not. Maybe they don't do it again, maybe they want to do it again, but it's not a hit, and so they can't do it again. But some people, a lot of people, have the idea they want to write a book, but it never comes to fruition. Lou has a book. Who's to say that it may not become a major hit later? Who's to say that they may not pick it up and make it into like a movie or a TV show later? Sometimes things take a bit of time to gain steam. So the important thing is that Lou has a freaking book. So anyways, thank you for joining me for this reaction. Let me know your thoughts in the comments with anything regarding the episode. What do you think about Ty and Caleb purchasing that horse? I know it says Amy and Ty are at odds over it. So I hope it goes well. I hope that Ty doesn't lose all of his money. Follow me on Instagram and TikTok if you can, and support me on Buy Me a Coffee. The link is in the description. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.